And the questions are here already. Hello, everyone. It's Bryan Barron, Director of Skincare Research at Paula's Choice Skincare. You are on our channel. It is November 2nd. Wait, no, it's November 1st. I have November 2nd. I'm untangling my tea bag. See? Earl Grey. I have November 2nd on my mind because tomorrow, November 2nd, is my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. 50 years married. I hope I hope I make it to that point. I think I'd be in my 80s, but what the hell? If everything's still working as it should be, why not? It's a big deal, and my parents live in the next town over. Actually, no, they have the same. They live in the same town I do now. They recently moved. We talk all the time. Anyway, we have a big party planned for them this weekend, and I'm very proud of them. Being married and keeping it real and keeping it interesting. Keeping from killing each other sometimes is not always the easiest thing in the world. It does take work, and you can't just coast on good intentions. And they have really, they've both really been good role models for myself and for my younger siblings, of which there is 5 of us all together, or there are 5 of us all together. English, Brian, English. Anyway, here to take your questions for the next hour. A couple of announcements about Paula's Choice. We, because the pumpkins, went away yesterday and all the scariness is gone. Happy post-Halloween. We're in holiday mode. It's November, December. It's the last 2 months of the year. Holidays left, right, and center. What that means for you is free shipping all month long. I double check, but I don't think there's any minimum on that free shipping. And today, we just rolled out on our What's New page all of our holiday sets. And several of them, I think all of them are cool in one way or another, depending on what your needs are, who's on your list, what you might want to buy for yourself. But what you need to know right now is that all of them are value priced in terms of this nice, package deal, so to speak, to celebrate the season and to thank you, all of you watching later. Thank you for your support, for being loyal customers, for spreading the word. We could not do what we do at Paula's Choice without you. And this is good to know. Without your feedback, good and bad. We listen to it all. We're not just one of those brands that says, oh, just tell us what you like. I don't care what you don't like. We care what you don't like. We care what you do like, and everything in between. So keep that feedback coming, and without further ado, I'll quit yapping. Well, I'm going to yap when I answer your questions, but I'm going to start in with these questions. Let's start right at the top with Haley. She says, what are your thoughts on sunscreen sticks for touch-ups? Do you think they provide enough protection? The traditional sunscreen sticks, brands like Clinique sell them, Hawaiian Tropic, Banana Boat, and so on. Those are fine. If it has an SPF label on there, if it's rated SPF 30 or greater and says broad spectrum protection, totally fine to touch up your sunscreen with that. They are not the best if you have acne-prone skin, because the ingredients that keep those slide up or twist up sticks in stick form can contribute to clogged pores. It's not 100% guaranteed, but if you are breakout prone, as I still tend to be even now, you just want to play it a little cautious, and maybe the stick isn't the best format of sunscreen for you. The other concern is if you're going to be putting it on over makeup that has sunscreen, because the ingredients in those sticks are kind of just going to cause the makeup to break down and sort of, you'll see more makeup on the stick than you will on your face. But otherwise, I think that they can be brilliant, particularly for longer days in the sun, and using them on small areas where, typically where we tend to miss, or areas that are smaller in nature, but they need more sun protection more often. So the bridge of the nose, tops of the ears, earlobes, This area right here, like kind of behind the ears, if you have short hair like I do, I often see people get some sunburn right through here, but the rest of their neck looks fine because, you know, this, you always think about covering this with sunscreen if you're putting it on your body, but you may not reach up behind your ears. Definitely a vulnerable area. And man or woman, if you have exposed ears because of how your hair is cut or how you style your hair, skin cancer can and does show up on the ear, you know, any part of the ear. My dad actually had a skin cancer removed from the kind of the inner portion of his ear, not the hidden part, but it just goes to show you how sneaky cumulative UV damage can be. So don't forget that. So that's what I like stick sunscreens for. They're also really good to use on the tops of your feet, particularly on days when you are literally on a beach, feet in the sand, walking on the sand, that type of thing. Reason being is because that action of putting your toes in the sand and walking along the beach, sand has an abrasive quality to it, even if it's that nice, soft, powdered sugar-like sand that some beaches have. And it will wear off that sunscreen. So that having that tiny portable little stick with you can be a great way to touch up sunscreen on the top of your feet. If you've ever gotten a sunburn on the top of your feet, and I hope you haven't, but if you have, chances are you never let that happen again. It hurts like a mother, and you literally just have to wait for it to go away. Walking hurts, putting on socks hurts, showering hurts. It's not fun. All right, moving on here. SoulKey86. Hey, Bryan, would you consider making a version of Shine Stopper with SPF? Also, please release an ebook version of The Best Skin of Your Life. Starts here on Apple iBooks. The ebooks version, never say never to that. I think, though, if we were going to go through with that, we would want to do some revision in the book. If nothing else, some of the products that we mentioned throughout the book, because that book came out in mid-2015, some of the products we mentioned in the book are either no longer available, or there may be, and I'm including Paula's Choice in this, there may be a better option from that brand that makes more sense for that particular recommendation. So we'll keep that in mind. Thank you for the ask. And then, so Shine Stopper with SPF, we actually worked on one for a while. And here's what happened. Ultimately, we decided against it for the main reason that you don't need a lot of Shine Stopper to get the oil control that type of technology can deliver. You do need to put sunscreen on liberally. So what we were concerned about was how to position this product that we basically say use sparingly, dab on, a little goes a long way, and it's got sunscreen. It's sort of the dilemma we had when we did our primer with sunscreen, which is why we do not recommend the primer with sunscreen to use as your sole source of sun protection unless you're willing to put it on liberally, which for most people who are using that product as a primer, you're not going to put on enough to get the stated level of sun protection. You'll want to put your daytime moisturizer with sunscreen on first, as you normally would, and then put the primer on top. It's, as Paula says, it's kind of a way that we can sneak more sunscreen into your routine, and we're always keen on doing that because most of us aren't applying as much as we should. So that's the main reason we didn't do the Shine Stopper with sunscreen. The secondary reason is the active ingredients. The mineral actives tended to look too chalky on skin because of the mattifying properties of the other ingredients that we wanted to keep. And we weren't able to successfully overcome that without and create a product that felt comfortable. And then the other issue is that if we opt to use a blend of the minerals with the so-called synthetic actives, or if we only use those synthetic actives, the oil control properties pretty much didn't, either they went away or they didn't last nearly as long as what we were accustomed to from the original formula. So, you know, that's the truth in beauty. Even when it disappoints, we gave it a go, and I'm not saying that something won't come along in the future, that may allow us to try that again. We're always keeping our eye on such ingredients and blends. So don't lose hope, but it's not something that's going to happen next year. Okay. Aphrodite. Hello, I'm glad to see you again. Thank you. I wonder if the use of a BB or CC cream is better for the skin than using foundation every day. Any thoughts? It completely depends on the formula. There is nothing inherently across the board special about a BB cream or a CC cream compared to a foundation. You literally have to go case by case. Are there BB creams out there that contain some fantastic ingredients? Yes. Same thing with CC creams. Are there foundations out there that contain some fantastic ingredients? Absolutely. A lot of them don't. A lot of them are just, here's what it takes to make the texture of the product, liquid, cream, gel, powder, whatever. Here's what it takes to get the coverage. Here's what it takes to give you the color, the pigments that they're using to create the different shades, and that's pretty much it. Some preservatives maybe. And then BB and CC creams, some of them, again, some tend to go a bit further. I've absolutely seen BB and CC creams that if I was just looking at the ingredient list on paper and the product name wasn't attached to it, I say, oh, that looks like a foundation formula. So there you go. It completely depends. Check out the Beauty PD team's list of favorites. If your normal foundation that you like to use doesn't contain any beneficial extra ingredients or maybe doesn't offer any sun protection, not that foundation has to do that. It's a nice bonus if it does, but I know there's a lot of great foundations without sunscreen out there. But if you find a BB or CC cream that you like just as well, and it meets your needs and it has some interesting ingredients in it that are skin caring, there's no reason not to switch to it. What's not true across the board is that just because it's a BB or CC cream, it's automatically a better formula than a foundation. Eileen asks, she says, hi, Brian. Hello. Are you releasing a clear moisturizer with SPF soon? We have one. There's been a sunscreen in clear for quite a while. Have you tried it? You should. Any other releases this year? Would you recommend the Defense SPF moisturizer for acne-prone skin? Lots of questions, Eileen. So yes, Clear does have a daytime moisturizer with sunscreen. It's very fluid. It's non-mineral. Maybe you do want a mineral sunscreen. That's why you're asking about the Defense Essential Glow. Would I recommend that for acne-prone skin? If you are acne-prone and more normal to dry, yes. If you're acne-prone and on the oily side, no. I don't think you'd like how it feels. Just because it is a mineral sunscreen does not automatically mean that it is going to clog pores or trigger breakouts. That certainly isn't true for everyone. I use a pure mineral sunscreen every day, and I would not continue using this particular product if I felt that it was making breakouts worse, and I simply haven't noticed that. And I've actually had a pretty good track record with other mineral sunscreens that I've tried. And then are we any other releases this year? Yes. There's at least one, and then, there's going to be one limited edition, one more skincare. Don't twist my arm, that's all I'm telling you. And there may be, okay, stop. That's all. But yes, there's more in store. Sitting here like slapping myself. Dina D says, hi Brian, what are efficient alternatives that provide similar results to retinol or retinoids for treating fine lines and wrinkles? So there's a lot of alternatives. I like that you use alternatives, and hopefully in the traditional sense, meaning something different than another option. And because sometimes there's a plant extract called bakuchiol, Bakuchiol. It's a very interesting plant, and it has been shown in research to have some retinol-like action and retinol-like benefits for skin. But it isn't accurate to say that it works the same as retinol. It doesn't. It's sort of like looking at two vegetables, like broccoli and spinach, and saying they're both green, Both of them can be eaten and cooked in a variety of different ways, and both give you the same nutrition. They don't. They both give you nutrition, just like retinol, retinoids, and bakuchiol will have some nice visible anti-aging benefits, but they don't do it in the same way. And that leads to my broader answer, because the bakuchiol is the only ingredient I've seen, save for a couple of peptides, that seems to come closest to giving you the same type of benefits that retinol does, and then kind of in a similar fashion. Not, there's a fuzzy floating around here, not in an identical fashion. However, there are a lot of anti-aging ingredients that can have benefits on fine lines and wrinkles, benefits on firming skin, benefits on some amount of collagen repair, visibly reducing some signs of sun damage, improving skin tone, improving radiance. There's a lot of them out there. So if you can't use retinol or retinol derivatives like the retinaldehyde, hydroxypenocolone retinoate that you'll see popping up in some products, if you find that you can't use those in any amount, it's not game over in terms of anti-aging for you. There are a lot of other options. Now, is retinol kind of the granddaddy of them all, so to speak, in terms of its anti-aging prowess? Yeah, you could say that. But as we research more and more into other types of ingredients, there are several that are giving retinol a run for its money. The difference is retinol has a nice head start because it's been on the market for so long and it's been researched in various capacities, acne, wrinkles, sun damage, for so long. So there you go. All right, I'm going to have to just keep plugging along here. A lot of questions. Mila says, what do I think about Drunk Elephant's 25% AHA baby facial? Is it safe to use? Is the redness after using it an expected finding? Ooh, I wouldn't expect redness. If you are experiencing redness after using that product, you could be simply, it's an individual reaction to one or more of the ingredients. That could be it. I'm speculating here. And I would say the same thing if we were talking about a Paula's Choice exfoliant at that strength. It could be that it's just too strong for you. It could be it's not playing well with some other ingredient in your skincare routine. There's a number of reasons why you could be experiencing redness. Just looking at that formula, and from what I remember, and just Drunk Elephant in general, they don't use irritating ingredients, just as a brand pillar, if you will. So we can rule that out. They're not like a Declior type brand, not to throw Declior under the bus, but that just came to mind because I know that brand in particular uses a lot of fragrant oils that have some pretty convincing, well-established research that those oils are a problem for your skin. The other question you had about that was, is it safe to use? Safe is always kind of a loaded word. Well, not always, but I think when you're looking at a product from a reputable brand and it has a stronger concentration of acids in it, that first of all, you need to know that brands, unless they're just making very poor choices, they do their due diligence in terms of pre-market safety testing. They'll do a repeat insult patch test. They do compatibility and stability testing. They may even go further and do tests on a larger panel of people and gauge out of, say, 100 people, how many, if anyone, had an adverse reaction, and then what was the nature of that adverse reaction? Was it transient? Did it last a long time? How significant was it? Are we talking mild stinging, or was there like sores and redness? Just to give you an idea of the spectrum. So yes, from what I know about this product, I would say that it's safe to use, but I would also say that the combined percentage of acids in that product and the pH level that's necessary for them to do their thing, not going to work for everybody. You may do better with the lower percentage AHA and or BHA product. Aesthetically, if it were, I would like to see that product made a bit less sticky. However, it gets kind of tacky. as the longer it's on the face. However, once you rinse it off, and it is a rinse-off product, it's fine. So I think for most people, it's kind of a non-issue. But that's something aesthetically that if I were in charge there, which I'm not, obviously, I would want to change. Roel says, hey, Bryan, which product after the niacinamide booster contains the highest percentage niacinamide? Could you disclose the percentage? Thanks all the way from Holland. I'm thinking, because we use niacinamide in quite a few products at differing levels. There are products like our boosters where we definitely focus on a key ingredient used at a specific percentage, often over and above what research has shown to be effective. It can be confusing because if you see like 10% niacinamide in the niacinamide booster and you're thinking, wow, if that's what they consider a good amount of niacinamide, how much are in their other products? But what the research has shown to be true is that niacinamide amounts between 0.5% and even 1% can do quite a bit for skin. The difference is when you increase the amount of niacinamide, you are going to get more dramatic and sometimes more tightly focused results. That's one of the reasons the 10% niacinamide booster works so well on skin tone and on pore size, because at that amount, it really can make a stronger difference in those concerns. Off the top of my head, the other product in our line that has the most niacinamide, and this might surprise some of you, is our Radiance Renewal Mask. And I believe the niacinamide is at around 2 or 3% in that particular formula. It's joined by several other ingredients that are designed to improve, wait a minute, no, not the Radiance Renewal Mask, Brightening Essence, sorry. Radiance Renewal Mask has niacinamide as well, but the Brightening Essence, which is a really nice textured product, if you haven't tried it yet, it's all skin types, really gives a nice even skin tone, kind of a return of that natural glow without adding any shimmer. So that's I mean, I love the Radiance Renewal Mask. Oh my gosh. When my skin is feeling a little bit dry and I just need that overnight hydration that just gives you that dewy plumpness, but not greasy the next morning, that stuff's awesome. Okay, Sarah has a question. She says, I tried the 2% BHA extra strength twice when I had acne-prone skin and it didn't help. After isotretinoin, which is oral vitamin A, otherwise known as Accutane, my skin has changed, which happens, yep. Wondering if I should give it another chance or accept that I can't. Sarah, in your situation, I would definitely give it another chance. It could be that the physiologic changes that the isotretinoin brought about in terms of the size of your oil glands and whatnot, basically becoming smaller forever, yay! You just don't want it to be so small that you just never have any oil again, because then you have dry skin all the time. But yeah, I think it's absolutely worth trying. I would also encourage you to take a look at the different options we offer in terms of 2% BHA. We've got the liquid, we've got the gel, we've got the lotion. We also have the advanced pore refining serum in our Resist Light Blue line, which you could also try once or twice a week. That may be the perfect product for you. So definitely dive back in and buying from Paula's Choice. I hope you know already, but just in case you don't, if it doesn't work out for you, if you're not happy with it, you can always return it within our 60-day window. And 2 months, it's a nice chunk of time to try to figure out, does something work for me or not. YouTuber, because there's so many U's, 431 asks, what is the highest strength retinol you can get over the counter? Is it a certain percent, or is there a different way to tell? So retinol as a cosmetic ingredient is not regulated in terms of, there's not a maximum cap you can use. Retinol is an expensive ingredient to formulate with, particularly if you're using the kinds like we do that are either encapsulated or controlled released or simply engineered to be more stable. Because as good as retinol is, the other side of the coin is that retinol is also highly unstable and prone to breaking down. And as it breaks down, and when it eventually breaks down all the way, it's not effective anymore. No point in putting it on. I have seen 1.5%. I've seen some products advertise 3%, but if you and then 2% as well. But then if you look at how they word the claims, I'm not going to name brand names, but there's one that comes to mind where I think they mentioned a 3% retinoid complex. Well, that sounds like 3% retinol, doesn't it? Yeah, if I didn't know any better, I think, yep, that's got 3% retinol in it. However, by not saying 3% retinol, which is the more direct way to do it, and saying 3% retinoid complex, there might be 3% retinol in there. That might be what they mean, but they could just as well mean, well, there's 1% retinol and 0.5% this, and then the rest of it is these ingredients over here. And, if that's what they're getting at, then that's fine, but don't mislead and get people to think all too easily that what you're selling is a stronger retinoid product. So legit, from what I've seen, 1.5%, if you're looking at pure retinol or like retinol plus a retinol derivative, is about the most I've seen. And I think, honestly, for most people, 1.5 to 2%, like upper limit, is where you'd want to be. I think once you get above that amount, even if you have deeper wrinkles and expression lines and advanced signs of sun damage, once you pass 2%, either total retinol or combined retinols, I think that can really push way too many people towards tipping the scales toward irritation. With any of the bioactive ingredients, you always want to be aware of. You always want to keep your skin. Here's your needle. This is irritating, sensitizing, side effects. Here's right in the middle. This is good. This is benefits. You want to keep the needle pointing this way toward the good stuff, toward the benefits. And there's certain ingredients where you just have to be careful in terms of tipping the needle, that you're just kind of playing. I don't want to say playing with fire and make these ingredients sound dangerous. You don't want to get too much of an ingredient like that at once, because you just get to that point where you start tipping the scales. Andrew asks, some of the questions asked can be easily Googled, LOL. Yeah, but then you don't get to hear my unique spin on them. No, but you're right. Yeah, a lot. I mean, you just have to, you have to be careful, though, what other website you're getting your information from. I'm not saying that ours has all the answers, or that ours is always 100% right, although we are right more than we're not. And the reason isn't because we're sitting around, feeling all smarty pants. It's because we don't put anything up on the website, for example, claims around our products or information in an article, without making sure that what we're saying is supported by published scientific research, or that at least it's not much of a jump to assume that what we know thus far about X ingredient or X procedure or whatever is possible. In other words, we feel comfortable making this statement. And I mean, another point of difference with us, just since I went down this road, is when things change, when research changes as it does, as it evolves, or if we make a mistake. We're human, we're not perfect, we will make some mistakes from time to time. We'll admit it. Whoops, we messed that up. We misspoke there. We're sorry, the corrected information is now up. So, all right, just a little behind the scenes stuff. So, because we, all of us at Paula's Choice are consumers too. We use our products, we use products from other brands, and nobody likes being misled. NG8822088209. Hi, Bryan. Any tips on how to get rid of closed comedones? I wear BHA every night and have tried AHA. Nothing seems to work. So closed comedones are also referred to as whiteheads, or as sometimes as milia, but there can be a difference between a milia and a closed comedone depending on certain circumstances. But they have more in common than not. It could be, you didn't mention how long you've been using a BHA. These closed comedones can often be stubborn. It might take a couple of months before you really see a difference. But in many cases, they're just stubborn and they will continue to be minimally to non-responsive to topical products until you go see a healthcare provider, preferably a dermatologist, who can individually lance, take a very sterile needle and drain the contents. I know, gross. But it works. The bump will be gone, and then you can use a leave-on BHA exfoliant, or maybe you find AHA works better. In theory, BHA should work better because it's oil soluble, so it can get into that pilosebaceous unit, aka the pore, and exfoliate that lining of the pore, which is precisely where the clog forms, that backup happens, that will eventually show on the surface of your skin as a closed comedone. So that's generally what I recommend if you're finding that the skincare route alone isn't working. If you wanted to try one more product and you haven't tried this already, before going to see a dermatologist, we do have a higher strength spot treatment like product in our line called BHA9. And that is 9% salicylic acid that you can apply to the most trouble-prone areas, and do that once a day, morning or evening. I prefer it at night when I use it. And I would say give that a couple of weeks and see if you notice that that is getting you to where you want to be. Sophie90 says, are antioxidants really that helpful in sunscreens? Are there any studies to prove this? Yes, absolutely. There are a lot of studies that prove that. There are actually even studies that prove that certain antioxidants on their own can provide some amount of UV screening, or they they can step in. You know, everything that damages skin and everything that's good for skin has to follow a path to get to where it needs to be. And there's a series of events that occur in order to have action reaction. And UV light is no different. And there are studies showing that certain antioxidants, green tea being a big one, pomegranate being another, can interrupt the pathway that UV light takes to damage skin. It does not stop the damage, but it kind of thwarts it. And what sunscreen, the way sunscreens work on the surface of the skin, they can actually deflect or absorb and then chemically convert that radiation before it can harm your skin. At least 97-98% of it. There's always a small portion. No sunscreen is really a sunblock. There's always a tiny bit of UV light that gets through, but certainly that tiny bit that gets through is a heck of a lot better than going without sunscreen at all and letting everything hit your skin. So yes, if you wanted to contact our client services team, they can put you in touch with me directly, and I can send you some studies if you're curious to read them. Then this person also says, I love these chats. Thanks for taking the time to do them. I've heard that antioxidants in sunscreen can make them reach higher SPF ratings, but that they also won't live very long. So you can find information showing that adding certain antioxidants can boost the effectiveness of the active ingredients. They essentially keep them working longer. They keep them from breaking down as soon as they normally would. That's one of the reasons why when you're out in daylight for extended periods of time, not just sunlight, but daylight, sunscreen reapplication is important, because that sunscreen that you put on at 8 o'clock in the morning, if you're outside all day, come noon, even before that, that sunscreen is not going to be as effective as it once was. They break down with the passage of time, but more so with ongoing exposure to UV light, because those active ingredients essentially, that conversion I mentioned that happens and that deflection that happens, it weakens them. So you can kind of look at it as, it's not a sunblock, as I mentioned a moment ago, but when you've got that sunscreen on your skin, the way that the UV light, still kind of keeps hammering away at that, and it's sort of like putting chinks in armor. And eventually, some of that light's going to start getting through because the sunscreen gets weaker and weaker and weaker. And if you are reapplying sunscreen, you're essentially hammering out those dents, and whoop, it's kind of like starting all over again. The clock starts again. Yay. So that is another lesson on reapplication and why that matters. Antioxidants can boost the SPF values, but because yes, as you mentioned, their benefit in that capacity can be short-lived, which is why most formulators that I've seen opt to use some of the synthetic and longer-lasting SPF boosters. And those can work really well. Perhaps one of the best known is the Helioplex ingredient that Neutrogena made popular, and now I think they're using it in all the J&J brands like Aveeno and what's another one? Oh, there's another big one. Why am I blanking on this? It's not Clean and Clear is another one, but Aveeno, Johnson & Johnson. Yeah. Oh, it'll come to me. Anyway, that is a synthetic ingredient that can really boost the efficacy of one or more active ingredients. The Helioplex is particularly good with the avobenzone, the types of ingredients, the actives that are typically used alongside avobenzone, given that avobenzone is UVA only. All right. All right, let's see. Alina, how can I protect my skin in the shower? Sounds weird, I know, but my skin is very dehydrated after showering every time. Don't you have the same experience? And then how do ceramides work? Okay. Alina or Elena, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I don't have the same experience in my skin feeling dehydrated after I shower unless I use like an overly fragranced gel type body wash or a body soap. Those just both tend to be too irritating and stripping for my skin. I typically use a moisturizing body wash from Dove. I like their sensitive skin one because it's got minimal fragrance. I like a fragrant experience in the shower, smells that are pleasant. I get it. I prefer to use a fragrance shampoo, and that's my source of fragrance in the shower versus a fragrant body wash. Although those body washes that smell like dessert, they always tempt me. Who doesn't want to shower and smell like creme brulee or pumpkin pie afterwards? I'm being a little facetious there, but yeah, those smell pretty good. You might say good enough to eat, but don't eat them. I think what you might want to try are one of the oil-based or oil-enhanced body washes that actually dispense as like an oily fluid. So you want to be careful using them. Don't squeeze the bottle too strongly, or it'll all come out at once. When those emulsify with water, they form a creamy lather. And they rinse without leaving a greasy residue, but you get almost that protective veil of moisture left behind. Eucerin makes a good one. CeraVe makes a good one. Cetaphil has one for eczema, but it's not an oil. I think it does have some oil in it, but it's more of a traditional cream formula. But check out the options at your drugstore or pharmacy and look into that oil-type body wash. The other thing you can do is make sure that your showers, you're not taking long showers. Try to keep it to 5-6 minutes at most. The more hot water or even warm water our skin is exposed to, the more the natural substances in our barrier start to become depleted. One of those natural substances, see how I segue to the second part of your question? One of those natural substances is ceramides, and you specifically asked how ceramides work. Okay. So about 50% of skin's intercellular fluid, the literal mortar that holds the bricks of our skin cells together so that our skin actually stays smooth, healthy, hydrated, intact, and doesn't just fall to pieces all around us, are ceramides. And there are different ceramides. Skin has 9 ceramides, as well as a couple of ceramide precursor type ingredients, and those are ingredients in skin that can make other types of ceramides as needed. There's a few of those ceramides are more critical for skin than others, and what a surprise, those ceramides, I believe it's ceramides 1, 3, and 7, are more abundant in skin. So they essentially work within our skin to keep everything held together and functioning in a normal manner. Ceramides can have, I guess you'd say, a cell communicating effect in terms of they can directly talk to other areas of skin and make sure that they're doing their jobs properly. With age, with certain skin disorders, the passage of time, seasonal environmental exposure, our ceramides that are naturally present in skin either become depleted, or the mechanisms in skin that actually create ceramides become damaged. So therefore, once they're damaged, they either don't make ceramides at the rate they used to, or they don't make ceramides as fully formed and as fully capable as they used to be able to do. So you get what you get in that sense, and sometimes it's not great, and that is where topical application of ceramides, as well as other what we call skin replenishing ingredients, glycerin, cholesterol, sodium hyaluronate, hyaluronic acid, sodium PCA, cholesterol, all of those ingredients help replenish the mortar that holds skin cells together in a healthy, hydrated, smooth, supple, soft, insert your favorite tactile adjective here, manner. And that is why ceramides are so wonderful to see in skincare, particularly if you have dry, compromised skin. That's why we love using them. Okay, we've got about 15 minutes left. I think I answered your question. Robert Davis, did you have a question? Oh, I guess not. I guess he's just being a little rude. Oh well, moving on. Okay. Alex is back. Hola, Bryan. Is it okay to use PC boosters and serums as eye treatments? Yes. Yes, it is. Or is there any active ingredients that shouldn't be used around the eyes? No, I mean, the 1% retinol booster, some people might find that that's a little bit too much to use around the eyes. It's, again, just like the mineral sunscreens, will they or won't they clog pores? You have to experiment that whether or not 1% retinol is going to be a problem around the eyes isn't something that's automatically true for everybody. I can use 1% retinol around the eyes. It's fine. I use our C15 booster around the eyes. I've used our vitamin C booster, or not the vitamin C booster, I just said that. The 10% niacinamide booster around the eyes. So yes, you can do that. And then if you still feel that you need to use an eye cream or an eye gel, I would apply that product over the serum and or the booster. Layering the serum and booster around the eye though, but depending on the skin around your eyes and what it feels like, how dry it is, that may well be enough. You don't need to continue with an eye cream or an eye gel. Let's see. Una Malcolm. Painful chin acne, is it really hormonal? All acne, no matter where it is, no matter when it happens, has some sort of hormonal trigger. Well, there's certain types of acne that can be caused by mechanical action or topical substances, acne cosmetica, but what most of us think of as acne, and they might say, oh, I have hormonal acne, there's always a hormonal trigger at play. Now, there are times when hormones are more active, like around a woman's monthly cycle. Men may have a spike in testosterone that they weren't expecting. The spike in testosterone, the primary male hormone that occurs during puberty, is one of the reasons that researchers believe, even though 85% of teenage boys and girls will have some degree of acne as they go through adolescence, boys tend to be harder hit, and they tend to get the more severe, deeper, more cystic form of acne, and that is believed to be due to the excess testosterone that is secreted during adolescence. Women get that too as they mature, but their estrogen levels being higher the estrogen wins out, and it tends to be not as antagonistic toward acne as testosterone can be. I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole there. But yes, so chin acne, hormonal, I'm almost positive. Yes, I'm using lots of PC, salicylic acid, azelaic acid, vitamin C, plus different, but I still get occasional big painful chin pimples. The rest of my skin is great. You, in that situation, you're using, other than, you didn't mention benzoyl peroxide, but the different and the I think the balance of the different, the BHA, salicylic acid, the azelaic acid is going to kind of step in and to a large extent make up for that omission. You may want to talk to your healthcare provider about getting your hormones checked. It could be that there is an imbalance going on, and if that is the case, there are different medications your healthcare provider can discuss with you that you may want to experiment with, again, under medical supervision. And I only say that, I'm not saying that to scare you, I'm saying that to, as I reason through this, that it's possible you've reached the limits of what the skincare products you're putting over this concern can do, because it's a bigger internal factor that skincare alone isn't going to address. That would be my recommendation to you. Starbucks K, are the antioxidants and peptides used in your toners in effective percentages? Yes. We, as a formulary rule, we never put ingredients, those antioxidant, peptide, those beneficial ingredients for skin. We never use those in amounts that would not be beneficial to skin. For most ingredients, though, there is a recommended usage level, and depending on the nature of the formula, depending on the cost of the formula, that usage level will change. Stands to reason. However, we don't do what I refer to as window dressing, where we're putting all of these buzzworthy ingredients in a product, but kind of using them in concentrations that, they look good on the label. That's what people want to see. Isn't everybody doing peptides? That type of thing. No, I'm not saying we'll never do what other brands are doing in terms of, they've come out with this really cool type of antioxidant serum, and wouldn't it be interesting if we could do something that would be even more interesting and better, and that type of logic. But it would always used in effective amounts. So you do not need to worry about that whatsoever. Nalesbian says, Happy Halloween, or Nisepi, and Happy Halloween belated. Thank you. What non-irritating oral care products do you prefer? I hate minty toothpaste, and I'm always trying to find the least minty option that isn't bubblegum. Not easy. I use a minty toothbrush. I like toothpaste. Colgate. I buy it, like I've been buying it so often. It's and I know if I say it's the Colgate in the red tube, you're gonna be like, yeah, that doesn't help. They're all in a red tube. I think it's called Colgate Simply White, and it's one of their mint flavors. I'm one of those. I like a toothpaste that's actually like the white paste texture and not the blue gel. I just find that the white paste texture makes my teeth look and feel cleaner. But I love Reach Cinnamon Dental Floss. I find that's like the cheapest floss out there, but it works so well. And I like the cinnamon flavor. And then we use the orange flavor of Listerine Total Care. So there are options out there, but there isn't. I don't see a whole lot in terms of flavored toothpaste outside of the mint family, unless you are shopping for kids' toothpaste, where you'll see fruit flavors and bubblegum. But the problem, though, is that if the kids' toothpaste is fluoridated, some aren't, because you don't really need to start using fluoride until I think the direction for younger children is they don't want them swallowing fluoride toothpaste, so that the child has to know when to spit the toothpaste, as opposed to just thinking it's a treat and then they brush their teeth and instead of spitting, they just swallow it. That's not good when you're talking fluoride. You don't want to ingest fluoride in that amount. But I would take a look. I think Tom's of Maine makes a cinnamon one. But what I was getting at with the kids' toothpaste and the flavors is that the kids' toothpaste that does have fluoride in it tends to have a lower level, maybe not much lower, but definitely lower than what adults should be using on their teeth. Hey, MDW, does niacinamide in small amounts also help shrink pore size, such as what's in the Defense Pore Purifier, or do I need a booster? You will see some benefit with the antioxidant pore purifier. If you have enlarged pores and you really want a more dramatic difference, I would say the 10% niacinamide booster would be a must try for you. I've been experimenting with that product more, and I did not think that the pores on my cheek could, I mean, I kind of figured I'd gotten to the point where they were as good as they were going to get. And after about 2 weeks of using the 10% niacinamide booster at night, I noted, and I was only doing it on one side of my face. It was my own little experiment. I noticed a huge difference. I mean, like, you know, I didn't even have to like keep looking. It was like, yep, they're smaller. They got even smaller on that side. Now, I don't use the antioxidant pore purifier, but knowing what went into the formula for that product and what our thinking was, and it was really primarily, yes, it's a product for pores, but it is really about delivering those pollution-busting ingredients deeper into pores, because what we found out from the research is that certain airborne particulates, what's known in a group sense as small particulate matter, the particle size is small enough that it does get past skin's barrier, and it can penetrate skin surface, it can penetrate into the pore, and it often gets stuck. Think of what it encounters in the pore. Oil, sticky sebum, dead skin cells, small hairs. These tiny particles get trapped in there, and because they can't just escape and they can't just be washed off, they've gone past being surface pollutants, and left unchecked inside the pore lining, they are going to keep doing their thing in terms of causing damage and inflammation. So the goal with the pore purifier was to take these pollution-busting antioxidants with about 0.5% salicylic acid and some niacinamide and help deliver them further into the pore where they can have a neutralizing effect on those types of pollutants. Now I kind of want to use that product. Oh, Phylos 590, are enzyme peels worth our time and money, or are AHAs and BHAs superior in every way? I wouldn't bother with enzyme peels. I think it's not that there are no good ones out there, but I just think AHAs and BHA do more. I think that they do more, and they're much easier to keep stable. Monica, hello Brian. Love the red-orange color sweater and the new haircut. Oh, thank you. Yes, I do enjoy getting the holiday gift deals. Great idea. Who's shopping while we're doing this chat? Then Trino, hi Brian, your new clear oil-free moisturizer looks interesting. I was wondering how strong are the anti-aging ingredients in it? Ingredients like niacinamide, ceramides, and peptides. Not quite sure what you mean by how strong. They are used at efficacious levels. Are they as, if you're referring to like, well, percentage-wise, no, there isn't as much niacinamide in that moisturizer as we put in our booster. No, there isn't as much ceramides in that moisturizer as we put in our clinical ceramide-enriched firming moisturizer. And no, there aren't as much peptides in that moisturizer as there are in the peptide booster and in some of our peptide-containing serums and moisturizers in Resist. Reason for that was twofold. And again, those ingredients are all being used in efficacious amounts. We wanted to make sure that the clear oil-free moisturizer came in at a certain price point so that we didn't, notice the clinical ceramide-enriched moisturizer is $58 and the clear oil-free moisturizer is what, in the 30s roughly? I should know this off the top of my head given it's a new product. It is $29. Okay, I was close. So you are getting the benefit of those ingredients, though. So it's not, please don't feel like we're selling your skin short. But the other reason for not going hog wild with those ingredients is because the clear customer tends to be a younger person, either teenager, early 20s. We do have some adult acne customers who dabble in clear, but what we found is that when we're dealing with a customer in their 30s or 40s and they have acne breakouts, clogged pores, either ongoing from teen years or, oh my gosh, I'm breaking out for the first time ever, what we found is that they are resistant to use clear because it doesn't seem anti-aging enough. So that is one of the reasons why we created our Resist for Normal to Oily Skin line, so that we could address, and it's interesting how few product lines out there can really do this well, at least in terms of giving you a routine, is that customer, that person that has concerns around signs of aging, but is also concerned about pore size, breakouts, and clogged pores. And the typical assortment of products for the breakout clogged pore set was too drying or not anti-aging enough for somebody who had visible signs of aging, and they want to nip that in the bud. They don't want them to get worse. They want to know what they should do now, but how do I address the pore size? So that whole thinking, and there's a lot of people out there that fall into that camp of concerns, that whole thinking is what inspired Resist for Normal to Oily Skin, our light blue products. Those are exactly the line that Paula picks and chooses from for herself, because at age 65, she still has oily skin. She still has issues with pores. Obviously, being 65, she's concerned about signs of aging. Not that you have to be, but I bet money that most people are to some degree or another. I am. Okay, let's get a couple more questions because I know I got a bit of a late start. I have on order the one, this is from Susan MCF1. I have on order the 1% Retinol Booster and Clinical Ceramide Rich Firming Moisturizer. What benefits can I realistically expect from my mature combination skin? I definitely think you will see a renewed freshness to your skin. Your skin will look healthier and more radiant. You will absolutely see a reduction in fine lines and wrinkles in the appearance of those, including around the eyes. The amount of vitamin C in that clinical moisturizer should give you a nice boost in terms of skin tone improvement. You may even start to see some areas of discoloration look lighter. I say that because if you have more visible discolorations, you're going to want to add in a specific skin lightening product along with that. I know. What else was I going to say? If you have combination skin, chances are in your oily areas, your pores are just naturally larger, and they may, as we mature and as we accumulate more sun damage, a lot of us didn't know any better in our younger years, and even if we did, the sunscreens weren't as good as they are now. Sun damage can also equal pore damage and pore size enlargement later in life, even if you're not typically prone to clogged pores. So the combination of retinol and the other ingredients in the ceramide moisturizer along with the booster is likely going to net you some visible reduction in pore size as well, and definitely improved skin texture. So I hope that everything I just said that you should expect to see comes true. If it doesn't, let us know. If you experience even more great stuff than that, I want to hear about it. So definitely come back to the chats and let me know, or chime in to client services and tell them. Oh, let me take a couple more questions here. I appreciate the comments on my haircut. I'm a little nervous about it, but let's see. I'm trying to find a question. Everyone's saying stuff about the hair. Okay. Red Signal 2009. Hi, Brian. Can I mix PC boosters with all the DE products? I'm assuming DE Drunk Elephant. It seems most likely. Also, can I safely layer PC and DE products. Are there any conflicting ingredients that I need to keep in mind while using them together? Can I mix PC boosters with all the DE? You should be fine with that. I didn't want you doubling up on retinol, like a super strong retinol from them and a super strong retinol from us. But last I knew they don't sell retinol. Rumor has it they're working on one, but that's just rumor. I don't see why you couldn't mix the boosters with their products. And in terms of layering, I don't think you'd have an issue there either. There are no legitimately conflicting ingredients that you need to worry about. It's possible, this is true for combining different products, even from within the same line, that there may be some incompatibility in terms of how the ingredients play together in terms of setting and being able to layer them on skin. It isn't a concern about applying serum A is going to inactivate the product underneath it, but it could be that the ingredients kind of clash, and so the products don't all mesh and absorb together, and what you may see as a result of that is some pilling and rolling as you apply the products. Some people have experienced that applying liquid foundation over certain sunscreens or serums. They find that it just kind of causes the makeup to ball up, and they're like, what's going on here? That's exactly what I'm talking about. That could happen. So just it's something to watch out for, and then typically it can be remedied by either waiting for one or more products to set a little longer to absorb before you move on to the next step, or you simply separate application. If you're like, oh, every time I use these two products that happens, put one of them on in the morning, put one of them on at night. If one of those products is an SPF rated product, that can go on in the morning, obviously. Okay. Oh, some questions I just didn't get to. Okay, let me take this last question. Excuse me. I know it's time to end the show and my throat starts getting dry. What would you recommend for very, very dry lips? What inky product or habits to do and avoid? Very, very, very dry lips. I love our Lip and Body Treatment Balm for very, very, very dry lips, but you really have to layer it. You have to just, and do this at night, but just cover your lips with that stuff. It'll stay in place. It's not a slippery product. You can even dig some out with a clean Q-tip and just kind of move it around the lips to help it break down. When your lips are in their naked state, try to avoid licking them because the saliva is just highly, I know it sounds ironic because saliva is what keeps our mouth moist, but on lips as it starts to evaporate, and it will evaporate fairly quickly, it can really be dehydrating. And a lot of us lick our lips without even realizing how often we do it. It's just a natural instinct. So it takes conscious effort to say, don't lick your lips. Once the balm is on, lick away. And our balm, unlike a lot of them, isn't flavored, and so you don't have to worry about it tasting bad. And it doesn't have any it doesn't have any fragrance in it, period, artificial or not. There are some other options that you can try, and some things that have worked well for some people would be layering different textures of balms. So here's something you could try. For your first layer, put on a drop of a sheer non-fragrant plant oil, like evening primrose or jojoba oil, and just spread a thin layer of that over your mouth. And then you could follow, I have a little tube of it right here. Look at this. This is what I do. Duh. CeraVe Healing Ointment. This has an ointment-like texture, but it kind of has a nice melt to it, so it's not super waxy. So that would be layer 2. And then you would follow up with the Lip and Body Treatment Balm, really kind of slather your lips in that. And that layering really helps lock in the hydration. And then the thickest product in that trio, which is the Lip and Body Treatment Balm, is brilliant at keeping dry indoor air, which is common for many of us at this time of year in the United States. Get the heat on, the temperature drops, the air inside gets dry, the humidity drops, lips get dry. cold outside, lips get dry. I mean, our lips are just hammered during a traditional northern U.S. winter. So that can absolutely help. But you have to be consistent about it. You have to do it every night. Try not to skip a night. Maybe not so intense as far as all those products every night, but at least until you get over that hump where the lips it's starting to feel not so dry anymore, even if you don't have balm slathered on them. Okay, that's it. I will be back next month. I will come back to this video page in the next couple of days. I'm off work tomorrow, parents' anniversary, yay. I'll come back though and answer additional questions. So hit me up, as they say. And if I don't talk to you until then, I will be back for the December live chat. And I'm doing chats on some of our other social media platforms as well. So you can always just sign up to be notified when that happens on Facebook or Instagram and so on. As always, you guys, thanks for watching. I need to learn how to say goodbye faster. So goodbye until next time. Take care.